Thanks for joining this session. I'm Xiao Director of Smart Lighting and Beyond Lighting for ylvania, a company heavily involved in the lighting industry for more than 100 years. So today, I will share with you a bit of I would say insights regarding how we use lighting to really unlock potential for beyond applications. So not just lighting, and also think about it on the energy, how we gonna really play a major role. So the first thing I wanted to actually share with you guys is that lighting play really a major roles in the building. If we think about it, in the buildings, 80% of the buildings consumes 80% of the global energy, and in that particular space, 30% of the energy consumed by the buildings are related to lighting. So actually, lightings are quite important when you think about your energy management, strategy, and especially when you think about 80% of the lighting installations today are not, up to date and are kind of obsolete with traditional and inefficient, systems. So what we think is that basically what we need to do when you think about energy savings, we really need to think about how to push this through lighting. Lighting is really a key source, to do that. But if we go back to the basis, we know that buildings has mainly been designed for people, right? And most of our times are spent in the building. Research has given that 90% of our time are spent in the buildings. So when we think about having any energy efficiency strategy around lighting, we need also to think about how can we ensure that actually we are not deviating about our first goal, which is really having a strategy based on people. So having a human-centric approach to tackle actually energy management is what I want to actually show you today. So this is really important because when you look at what really represents the cost of running a building today, most of the costs are on the people. 90% of actually your operation cost, for a building, is the staff, is everything that we put around them, and only 1% is actually on the energy. So if we improve this, if we improve the well-being of the people, if we focus on health, safety, and productivity, we will actually find a way actually to reduce the energy and use the building in a sustainable way. What does it mean really for us, as a lighting manufacturers? After saying that, actually, from our point of view, what is really important for us and what we really focus on is to use intelligence directly in our lighting fixtures to provide the best experience to our occupants. We only focus on that first, using the right amount of light, the right quality of light, at the right place, at the right time. And by using that actually philosophy, we're able to reduce the amount of energy that is spent, by the people who using the building. Because as I say, what is really important is the people first, right? And what we do also, for example, is that we use very simple way to integrate smart sensors directly in our fixtures with a decentralized, and we build a decentralized systems that is able to use collective learning to learn about the different behaviors of occupants. By using that, we ensure that we actually determine the right usage of the space, and only light up our luminaires when it's really needed. From that perspective, we've been able to reduce the energies on the lighting by 70%, up to 70%. Right. So what is really impressive is also that system is always learning. So you are able to use and collect the data from a particular occupant that will have his behaves to go to his meeting rooms every day, and the light will predict actually, okay, because we're using different sensors in each luminaires, we're able to create a mesh network that actually are providing different information between each luminaire, and then they will take decisions and make predictions based on that. And we also provide flexibility to our end users by using an apps to push this to much more comfort within the building. So when we think about that, and we understand that now basically all our luminaires are connected and have smart sensors in every of the luminaires, we believe that lighting is one of the best platform or infrastructures that we have in the building to digitalize it and to bring much more features and bring much more than just a sustainable environment to work. So with lighting everywhere, we are probably the best platform to build the digital infrastructures for smart buildings, and using the energy savings that we do by putting out traditional lighting out of the building and refurbish this with new lighting systems. We see definitely a viable business model to really push this forward. For example, today, when we are retrofitting traditional systems in the building, what happens is that we will do roughly 70% of energy savings based on the fact that we're moving from traditional to LED, and all that energy savings we can reuse it actually to invest into those smart sensors that we can integrate directly into our luminaires to start getting data and actually build much more applications that will be helping the occupants. So I'm gonna actually show you and explain you a few of them that are already used in a lot of our space, which, for example, location-based services, something that is already used in Gatwick Airport. Maybe you have heard about that. The Gatwick Airport has installed more than 2,000 beacons in their facilities to enable indoor navigations. And what they have done actually is that they have put beacons on battery everywhere to cover the area. Why they would actually use lighting as an infrastructure to do that? Because we already integrate smart sensors, and we also integrate that features already in the fixtures, so that they could avoid, for example, all the maintenance that we have to plan after that over 3 or 4 years. And that is for us the ability, when this is built directly in the luminaires, to provide additional service, not just light, but for example, guide the visitors or employees to the right meeting rooms or to the open space, provide secure access directly, secure zones to ensure that not everybody is able to go to that particular meeting rooms, or secures assets also. That happens, for example, in logistics when we want to track, for example, and do some geofencing. We are able to, with simple Bluetooth tags that we have on our badge, to track people in a building and ensure that their safety, or provide actually guidance into the different area in the building. So this is something that is really booming. As you can see, for example, today the market is in 2 years will be roughly worth more than 23 billions in that space. And if you think about also not only buildings, commercial buildings, and you think about hospital, for example, a very simple thing that happens every day. Nurse in every of their shifts are spending more than 1 hour actually to look at their equipment. If they had actually a system based on with beacons enabled already in every of their luminaires, they could easily track any of their equipment and reduce that time and provide much more service. In museums, it's the same thing. We use traditional audios, to provide extensive services to the customers. But as you can see on those pictures, lights are everywhere. And with lights everywhere, we can also provide location-based services with beacon integrated in every of our fixtures to replace those audio kits. So once you get with your smartphone and you get into that room, you're able to receive an extended descriptions of that particular painting, so that you have in any language, and you can really enjoy your journey on that. Space management also is actually a very strong value proposition that we can actually provide through through lighting. So we know that basically space space are always changing, because in the life of the company we always have we always have to restructure teams. We need to merge. Sometimes we have merging and or acquisitions that are happening, or we are increasing based on our business the staff. And for example, today we are talking about Black Fridays are coming, those activities. We can think about logistics, for example, that are increasing or doubling up their staff on site. So how do we really use lighting to provide more services on that? We can use, for example, each sensors that we have in every our luminaires to capture the occupancy and provide better space management through, for example, desk, through giving through those flex desk office. We can provide data about the availability of certain rooms. We can also, for example, what we have done with some real estate, provide insights of occupancy of particular area. What happens now in the building is that we don't really know what the next generation is going to use the building. We don't really know if actually that open space will be actually the building that everybody, the space that everybody will use. So what happens is that in one of our projects, we have put that with a French real estate company. We have been able to monitor if their phone booth or if their rest area, if their kitchens, or if their sleeping area or meeting rooms were really efficient or really used with by the staff. So combining a survey with those kind of analytics and data, we are really able to match out a space that people will really use. That's one thing. And the other thing also is that when we know that meeting rooms are only used at 39% of their time, we can also question the fact that sometimes we can also bring much more energy savings by cutting out half of the space that we are using. If we were thinking that, for example, a building were not occupied, on the left side of the floor, then we could actually just rent out that particular space. So that's what also happens, in logistics, when we see that basically the business is done during the Christmas periods and also during some sales events periods. When out of these times, how can we actually allocate, the rest of the space of that, and making sure that we are not building again new buildings just for having them empty. Okay. Another example also is about the need of cook. Basically, with those kind of solutions, we'll be able also to reduce food waste by matching cooking with the occupancy. Because what we have seen also is that there's a lot of food waste, today in a lot of buildings and canteens that are in each of the buildings. Another example again of actually using space management is to reduce security costs, ensure safety. How can we actually make that? Is actually with having a very good granularity of sensors all around the building, thanks to the lighting. As we are able to track during the period during the different hours where the building is supposed to be closed, if there are any occupancy, and that high density sensors network that cover the entire buildings helps you to reduce security costs up to 50%. Another case also that is very interesting is about when we talk about sustainability, it's also cleaning. Do we really need to clean all the rooms, if we haven't used that rooms for 2 or 3 days? So, for example, on that particular project, we have used our smart sensors and smart luminaires to capture the occupancy for 3 days and share this data with the cleanings ladies in the 5,000 square meters buildings, and the staff has been able actually to reduce 15% of their time in the building, because they were not going to the rooms that were empty for the last 3 days. It only focused on the rooms that were being occupied. So high density sensors network covering in the entire building are bringing much more services than just lights. Another one I think also that is very important, I think, for everyone, is the air quality today. We talk a lot about the pollutions that is outside in outdoor, and we like to track that. But like I say, 90% of our time is spent indoor. 99% of our time is spent within an environment where actually we should actually look also about that. So when we say that we want to bring much more comfort to our occupants, through lighting, we do mean also that we need to integrate much more value into our luminaires and our lighting fixtures to also bring insights, that are related to air quality. So that means, improving workforce efficiency. When we see those different studies that say that extra oxygen gains can potentially increase office productivity by 38%. This is also in different, it's also a purpose for us, a target to be compliant with different standards across Europe, and also that are related to CO2. So the ability to integrate CO2 sensors directly into any of your lighting fixtures, and be able to just by replacing luminaires, putting a new one, have those kind of features and insights, is today what we are able to provide. But also same things on the temperature, and all those data, actually, when we think about it, like we say, are key insights that will help you really to manage better your building and focus on people. Because if we improve actually all those different environment, and we bring a better environment to the people, we are sure that we can actually better use our building. Better using our building means also be much more efficient in terms of energy usage. And of course, all of those data are that we capture through our luminaires, we are also able to provide it and share it to any building management systems that will enable that interactions with HVAC or other disciplines in the buildings, and increase and bring much more opportunities to save any further energies. That was all for me. Thank you very much.